everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno, here with my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany. And also joining us today, host of Mansion Global on Fox Business, Katrina Campins, and former Texas Land Commissioner and partner at Michael Best LLP, George P. Bush. Now we begin with this, the crisis at our southern border nearing a breaking point. Fox News has learned the White House has approved a plan to send 1,500 active duty troops to the border to help prepare for a migrant surge ahead of Title 42's expiration in just 9 days. Meanwhile, Texas Governor Greg Abbott resuming his busing of migrants to several blue cities across the country, hoping to relieve just some of the overwhelmed border communities by sending migrants to so-called sanctuary cities. But outgoing Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot is asking Governor Abbott to stop sending the buses, writing in a letter, quote, "We simply have no more shelters, spaces, or resources to accommodate an increase of individuals at this level, with little coordination or care that does not pose a risk to them or others." And New York City Mayor Eric Adams suggests Governor Abbott's migrant buses are racially charged attacks. Watch.
Abbott sent asylum seekers to New York, black mayor, to Washington, black mayor, to Houston, black mayor, to Los Angeles, black mayor, to Denver, black mayor. He passed over thousands of cities to land here. I cannot ignore the fact that Governor Abbott sent migrants only to cities where they're black mayors and is undermining our cities.
George, the New York Post calls that race-baiting jujitsu, and they point out the fact that all of those cities have incentivized migrants by saying, oh, we'll give you food, shelter, Apple iPhones, places to stay. Why wouldn't they want to go there? And why wouldn't there be room for such if that's what the mayors tout?
Mayor Adams should be ashamed of himself. Race baiting has no place in American leadership. A true leader would step forward and actually go to his own political party, go to his own president and say, we need federal assistance. Look, Mayor Adams said that he's spending $5 million a day to help address the problem. In Texas, we have already appropriated $4.6 billion for the last 2 years. Our budget making process is occurring right now where we're looking at another $5 billion. We're just sharing some of the pain, the suffering that we encounter every single day on our own border, and it's time for the federal government to get serious. Look, 1,500 soldiers is not enough. The fact is 90,000 migrants have been apprehended just in the last several weeks, and the anticipation is that figure will continue to exponentially increase. So we need to get back to the Trump policies of remain in Mexico, of creating processing facilities throughout Latin America to alleviate the pressure. But our Border Patrol officials deserve all of our thanks, all of our prayers for all that they are doing. And even in Democrat-led cities and border areas of Texas, like in El Paso, he's declared a state of emergency, knowing that there are tens of thousands of folks abusing our asylum process. Look, we're a very compassionate country, but unless we get serious about this, this will be our #1 national security issue on our own doorstep. It's time for leadership.
And a quick follow-up, your thoughts on the actual policy. So you say it's not enough, you know, that quantity of troops that now Biden has essentially woken up to, apparently that there's a slight need down there. We know that they will perform largely ancillary and administrative duties, thereby freeing up Border Patrol to, we assume, enforce the law. However, the law isn't being enforced, and we know that the Border Patrol quantity has been gutted by both resignations and taking of their own lives.
So to put this into context of the 90,000 apprehensions, we only have 19,000 Border Patrol agents currently monitoring the thousands of miles along the U.S.-Mexican border. Texas, of course, has about half of that. And overall, about 2/3 of the apprehensions are in the Texas border alone. We need more agents. We need more immigration judges. We need more processing. But 1,500 active duty soldiers is going to be a drop in the bucket in terms of processing. Look, if we had a president and a vice president that actually step up and maintain their constitutional duties, which is securing our border, instead of these manicured press conferences in El Paso and other parts of our border, actually talk to officials. And they would tell you that Title 42 is the last remaining tool that they have to push folks back. In the meantime, Congress needs to step in and reform our asylum laws, because right now, as long as you're stepping foot on terra firma, you can abuse the immigration asylum process. And we know that the backlog now is in excess of 2 million cases, which has doubled since President Trump has left office. So I was proud as land officer. I'm so proud of what the governor is doing to secure the border and doing what we can at the state level, because we're stepping up in a big way, but we need the help from this president. I'm not too confident that's going to happen.
Yeah, Harris, that's what the governors argued in court. They said Title 42 is our last hope. And now with it set to end in 9 days, we have mayors who apparently have shut their third eye to the realities that George P. just outlined, and instead are blaming the governors down there for trying to alleviate the problem created and exacerbated by this president.
Yeah, Mark Brnovich, the Attorney General of Arizona, we saw him. He was one of them. And of course, we've seen the same thing in the state of Texas, too, at that very high legal level, people making the argument, and that was about drugs mainly, not about people. This is about to be an onslaught like we've never seen before. And you already know it because they're building tents down there and the people haven't even all arrived yet. I mean, we're getting ready in the weirdest of ways. It's like we're preparing for an invasion, but we don't want to stop the invasion from happening in 9 days. Like, you have time. 1,500 people wouldn't do it. But we have many, many more than that. Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa, who served, was saying, well, what they're going to do is they're going to follow the cartel's orders, and they're all going to beg for asylum. And that slows down the process so much. That's why you need the military as a backstop, not at the border to actually secure it, but just to relieve some of the pressure for all that processing they'll have to do. I think part of that is a fantasy, because we don't have enough people trying to go through checkpoints right now to sneeze at. Everybody's going around. Go down there. I mean, those cameras are like going crazy with all the sensors and everything from people just crossing in every direction and taking off their clothes at the water and trying to, because they're soaked from swimming across the Rio Grande, and putting the dirty clothes on that other people left behind on and getting away from the cameras. I mean, it is pandemonium down there. And that's today. 9 days from now, let's check in.
Kayleigh, Harris mentioned fantasy. In typical form and fashion from this administration and the White House spokesperson, let's listen to the fantasy that she is putting forth. Watch.
We actually deal with the immigration system in a humane way, and in a way that is that actually deals with what we're seeing at the border, and that's why you've seen the parolee program be so successful. It has when it comes to illegal migration, you've seen it come down by more than 90%, and that's because of the actions that this president has taken. But we know that more action needs to be taken, so it has to be legislative action. We're going to continue to call Congress to do that, and so this is important to this president. On day one, he put forth a legislation to move forward on this.
Down 90%? What fantasy land is she living in?
Yeah, Chuck Ross from the Washington Free Beacon calls this perhaps the biggest lie from the White House podium thus far. And I have to agree, because we have the data. She knows the data. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call Mayorkas. But as Griff Jenkins laid it out, it's very clear. Fiscal year 2022, 1.3 million illegal crossings. Fiscal year 2023, so far, 1.4 million illegal crossings. So that's an increase of 136,000 and some change at a time when we are already at historic records for illegal border crossings. So she knows this. But my question is, where are the fact checkers? I put in 3 Google search terms: Karine Jean-Pierre, her statement, and fact check. And guess what came up? 0 results. That is what my Google said. So the fact checkers are asleep right now. They need to wake up. They're totally derelicting in their duty. And this is equivalent to the other lies we've heard. Republicans want to defund the police. She also said Republicans want to defund Border Patrol. And then there's this whopper. Republicans are fighting to put fentanyl on the streets. Do you know a single Republican that wants children to die and is fighting to put fentanyl on the streets? That is what she said. I'll leave it to the viewers to characterize that as lie or truth.
Katrina, at least there's 5 fact checkers here.
And you're absolutely on point, everything that you all said. What I think is really interesting is that now the Democratic mayors are feeling the pain. So now they're speaking to it. So we know that this is not only a Republican or a Democratic issue. It's an issue that we have basically in the United States of America, and we need to do something about it. And I want to say lastly, last week when I came in for the premiere, I arrived at the airport and I saw all the migrants on the floor, women, children, and that's when it hit me. It was kind of like an awe moment, because we talk about it so much, but it's very different to actually see it and see people suffering.
And I think seeing those depths, you know, a photograph or a video doesn't capture when you're there in person and you see the depth and the breadth of it throughout entire states, and to the point of fentanyl, all 50. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.